Hi friends, it's Miracle, and today, once again, I'm going to talk about all the books I plan to read in the entire month of May. In April, I had a ridiculous big TBR, but I ended up didn't read many books from it and got distracted by other things. I had something happened in my family where I feel like I have to distract myself from my normal routine or life or reading. So that's why it happens. But this month, same with April, I have a huge TBR, but this time I am in a really good reading mood and I think things will work well. This TBR includes all the books I'm planning to read for the reading activities I'm participating in, and I'm hosting one of them, and also some other books which I have interested in but they are not related to any reading events. And I'm still working my way through all the books in the second round of book tour prize, so May will be a very rich month in reading. Firstly, I want to briefly mention all the books I'm going to be read for the event that I'm hosting called From and About Asia Reading Project. I've already done a detailed video about the TBR for that event. I will link down below as well as all the informations of that event. And in May is North Korea and Eastern Asia Culture Month, so we'll be reading all the books of that sort. To quickly go through the list, I'll be reading Dear Leader, Poet Spy Escape, A Look Inside North Korea by Jang Jin-sun, translated by Shirley Lee. This is the author's account of Flight from North Korea as a person who used to work for the propaganda machine and had a relatively privileged life in North Korea. I think this is a very unique perspective since we don't read a lot about the person who have worked for the nation. I already started this book and I was very happy to take the cover off when I was reading it because this cover alone gives me a thrill. The second book I want to read from North Korea is The Acquisition by Bendy, translated by Deborah Smith. This is a short story collection where the author still lives in North Korea today, and his work has been transported by secret messenger from North Korea to be published in the outside world. In the detailed video, I said I will go to this book if I finish Dear Leader, but in our Discord community, a small group of us wanted to buddy read this book from the 15th of May, so I will get to this book for sure. And if you are interested in buddy reading this book with us, join the Discord community and we'll have an amazing discussion. Following, I have two audiobooks I will be listening to for the category 2 of the books, which is books about Eastern Asian culture from all around the world. So the first one is Minor Feelings by Kathy Park Hong. This is a memoir of the author on the account of being Korean American and being a minority in the society where you believe the lies and stereotypical thoughts that other people told you about your own identity. I already started to listen to this book and it was fascinating. I'm at the part where the author is talking about modal minority, which is a dearly topic of the Stop Asian Hate movement. So I really enjoy it and I'm thrilled to dive more into this book. Following, we have another book of being Korean American, which is Crying in Hmart by Michelle Ziner. This is more like a memoir where it's a reconnection of the author and her Korean American identity. Because when she was younger, she didn't really have a lot of Asian American peers in her daily life. So she felt like a little bit detached with her identity. But with the diagnosis of her mom's terminal cancer, she started to rethink and reflect on her identity and change her relationship with it. Next, I want to add one more book to this category because I found this amazing book. This is Winter Pasture by Li Juan. This is pronounced as Juan. This is the translation of my favorite book of all time from my favorite author of all time and translated by Jack Hargreaves and Yan Yan. And this book was published earlier in February this year, but I didn't know about it until 2 weeks ago. This is an essay collection where the author followed the Hazak herders in the northwestern China in Xinjiang and their stories in the winter. Hazak is one of the 56 ethnicities in China where some of them are still make a living pasturing. And It was such a blessing when I first read it in Chinese because the author just has this amazing ability using her language to describe the picture so vividly in front of you. And I cannot wait to read and experience the whole thing again in English. I hope the translation is good, and I'm so happy about it. Following, I have 3 books I will be reading for another reading event I'm participating in, which is the Invisible City Project, information down below. They pick 3 countries to read from each month, and in May, the 3 countries are North Korea, which I have covered, and Romania and Madagascar. For North Korea, as I said before, I'll be, of course, reading all the books I mentioned. And for Romania, I have 2 books to read from. First being Night by Elie Wiesel. This is a new translation from his wife, Marian Wiesel. And this is a nonfiction classic. It's about the story of the author in 1944 when he was 15 years old. His family was taken from their home to the concentration camp, where he witnessing all the brutal death of his family members and the darkest side of humanity. This is a book that was loved by so many readers. It will be a hard read for sure, but also a very important one that I want to get into. The second book for Romania is The Appointment by Herta Müller, translated by Michael House and Philip Boyne. This is a novel about a young factory worker in the totalitarian Romania where she sewed a note into the linings of a man's suit bound for Italy. On the note, she wrote, "Marry me," and also noted down her contact information. So for this crime of hers, she got summoned to this appointment. So she took the tram to this appointment and ended up missed her stop and found something that is more disturbing than her imagination. This is a dystopian novel which I really love, but I don't think I read enough about the dystopian settings in novels, so I'm glad I found this one. Next, I have a book from Madagascar, and it is called Beyond the Rice Fields by Naivo, translated by Alison M. Schratt. This is the first book ever translated into English from Madagascar, and that was in the year of 2017. So it was pretty recent we finally got a book from Madagascar, and it is a historical fiction set in the 19th century following 2 narrations, a slave and his master's daughter. The story started when the Christian missionaries from Britain and France broke into Madagascar and brought political terror. And our 2 narrators, they had a bond in their youth, but they have to go on different paths after they grow up. Lately, I found myself reading more books from or about Africa, and the more I read about them, the more I'm interested in their culture and history. So this book apparently also deals with the topics that I care about, such as Western colonization, political violence, and slavery. So I hope it will be a good read. And the last event I'm participating in this month is the Indie Press Project hosted by Stephanie from Time to Read. I'll link the announcement video down below. And this is an event where we support smaller publishers, and the publisher of May is Archipelago Books. This publisher focuses on translated literature, and I have picked up a book translated from Norwegian after I browsed their endless catalog. It is called A Time for Everything by Karl Ove Knausgård, translated by James Anderson. This is a bit of confusing in terms of the order of reading because I saw it's marked as the second book of a series, but the first book of the series was still under translation and have not yet published in English. And I also heard people said you can read it as a standalone, so I think I'm gonna dive into this one first. This is a historical fantasy novel, follows a 11-year-old boy in the 16th century in a mountain village in Italy, where she got lost in the woods and started to get fascinated by the idea of angels and reinterpreted all the angels that we know or not know about, dated back to Adam and Eve. Fantasy is not my usual genre, but I love the mysterious feelings of this book. And also, I want to expand my reading a little bit by reading more of the genres that I'm not very familiar of. Following, I have 2 books I want to read that is not in any part of the reading events I'm participating in. The first being This Green and Pleasant Land by Aisha Malik. This is a book that I want to read after I saw Alice from the Book Castle recommended couple times in her channel. The story happened in a small village where a Muslim man who basically most of the time ignored his religion decided to honor the dying wish of his mom and build a mosque in the village that he lives in. This book deals with identity, race, family, and friendship in a cozy environment. I heard so many good things about this book in a lot of Alice's recent videos and decided to give it a go because I trust her reading taste. I feel like it's very similar to mine. And the interesting thing is when I got this book, I got so excited and posted the picture in my Instagram story, and I got a bunch of replies for that story and people saying that they also love this book. So that makes me more interested in this book, and I can't wait to dive in. The last book on my TBR is Anxious People by Frederick Buckman, translated by Neil Smith. Frederick Buckman is one of my favorite authors. With that being said, I've only read 2 of his books, but I've loved each of them. He's able to write normal people in a fantastic and charming way and makes you fall in love with each of his characters, no matter if they are main characters or side characters. This is his latest book that was translated and published this year, and it is about a crime that never happened. A would-be bank robbers that disappeared into thin air, and 8 anxious people find they have more connection than they imagined. It's very intriguing, and as I said, I loved his writing, so I'm very excited about this read. And that's all the books I'm having on my May TBR. And remember, I still have the books I didn't or cannot talk about for the second round of Book to Prize. I'm slowly making progress in them. So finger crossed I will be able to read all the books I want to read. And let me know in the comment section down below what you're gonna read in May, or if there are any books in this list that was on your radar. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thumbs up if you like it, and happy reading, stay healthy. I'll see you in my next bookish video. Bye!